Hey everyone, welcome back to the Running Water Podcast. Jordan Budd here, your host. I'm rolling solo on this episode. Just thought I'd do, our quarterly check-in. Springtime is just it's an extremely busy time for us on the ranch with calving and ranch things, and it's just really hard to sit down and bust a podcast out. And honestly, if there's nothing to talk about kind of on our front, I don't feel like I need to make a bunch of stuff up to try to push it out, but I did want to do one for a few updates. Got some new gear stuff that has come out in the new year, and then just a little bit of updates on the running water hunting front. So I guess those updates for running water hunting. So running water hunting is our outfitting business in Nebraska, Northwest Nebraska on the ranch. And we do purebred Merriam turkey hunts in the spring. That's about to kick off here soon. It is, as I record this, it's April 7th. We've got like another week, I think, until turkey season opens. We don't run very many hunters through, like 6 to 8 is about all we do. And so it's a good quality hunt. We only run 2 people at a time for the most part, unless the groups are bigger, but so we do that, and then we do whitetail, a little bit of mule deer hunts. We do elk hunts for residents of Nebraska in the fall, and then I'm going to start running some coyote hunt packages like in the fall. So turkey-wise in Nebraska, I mean, we're full for this year. If you do have a Nebraska turkey tag already, you've already purchased, and you want to hunt, just let me know, and we can get you in. But if not, Nebraska sold out of their turkey permits January, like middle of January is when they went on sale. They lasted about a week and hit the cap. So that's what's going on there. We are full right now for deer. For rifle season, we're full for 2025. We're actually full for 2026 unless we open a couple more spots with an added place. We'll see about that, but if you're interested in that, let me know so you can kind of get on a list where we book out. I mean, just like right now, we're booking out we basically book out for the next year, a full year in advance, and it's just getting longer and longer and longer. There's people asking for 2027 already. So, if you're interested in that rifle hunt, if not, we are full we're pretty full for muzzleloader. I'd probably take, somebody else, like for mule deer or something. But archery is pretty full. So archery and muzzleloader, those hunts seem to, they just don't have as high a demand as rifle hunts. So you can usually get in on those about a year in advance or a little inside of a year in advance. So let me know if any of that is appealing to you. We do I'm just stuck on archery mule deer. We do lodging, meals is all included, guides included on a 2-to-1 basis, for the most part, unless like archery, we're running stands and stuff. I mean, I can run 3 people because that's all that fits in a vehicle to run to stands. So, but it's, you can check it out, more at runningwaterhunting.com, pictures and stuff like that. And then, for turkey season 2026, we're, I would say, like half full or so. So if you're interested in that, let me know. And okay, running on to some new stuff. We've got, Leah and I went to Idaho mule deer hunting last year, and then we went to Colorado mule deer hunting last year. We filmed both of them for Meat Eater. I didn't kill a buck in Idaho, but I did in Colorado. So they just smashed them together to make a little bit of a longer video. I personally think they did a really good job on it. They just released it. If you go to meateater.com, and I think their thing is called Hunting with Jordan Budd or something like that. You can go look at all the videos I've done with Meat Eater on there, or basic YouTube channel stuff through Meat Eater. That'll get you there. And then as far as our my YouTube channel, if you go to just Jordan Budd, there's like all the YouTube stuff that I've done. And then the latest is Leah's sheep hunt, which we've talked about a little bit, but if you haven't watched it, go check it out. I think it's a good video. And then let's see here. Okay, new gear that has come out. I got a question in the question and answer on good lightweight boots. My favorite boot is the Crispi Briksdal. If I could only have one boot, that's what it would be. And they just came out with a new version of that, the Briksdal EFX. It's a full leather on a scale of 1 to 5 for stiffness. It's a 4, so it's a fairly stiff boot. But I feel like it has good rocker, and those Briksdal boots just fit me really good. They're more of a narrow fit, like more of a forgiving mountaineering boot, I would say. So, and then Crispi also has like a few new boots. They've updated some of their favorites that they came out with this year. That's good. A new toy that I got is one of the new Sig thermals, like the actual scope. It looks pretty dang awesome thus far. So I'll try to do some videos and updates and stuff on that. And then some new things from First Lite. They've been coming out with some stuff. First thing, like coming up pressing wise for gear, they just released their turkey vest. So I really like that turkey vest. Like, I didn't get to use it last year. I've just got my hands on it this year, but I'll be running it. You get a seat, you get like a little backpack that you can put like a water bladder in, and then some basic stuff. I have like first aid kit, some snacks, a water bladder full of water, and then I can fit a jacket, like a lightweight puffy jacket in there as well. So got that. You have like a spot for decoys or birds or whatever. And then in the front, there's like minimal pockets, but just the pockets that you need. And I personally don't run a box call, so you can detach that box call holder. I just run a slate and mouth calls. So you can check that turkey vest out at First Lite. And then they also just released their new line of socks. These are, of course, merino socks, but these are all made in the USA. There's like there's 4 different weights, and then the all season has both a crew height and an over the calf height. They range from $25 to $32, so kind of right in the market for, like the darn tough socks and stuff that everybody really likes. So they're doing an early season, and I've got to use these socks actually for the last 2 previous seasons. Testing them, I really like them. I personally think they're right on par with darn tough. And my 2 favorites are the early season that comes in just a crew height, just your basic, really lightweight, thin sock, kind of really thin cushion, and just what you would think for early season. And then they make an all season sock in crew and OTC that's more of like medium cushion and just more of your kind of everyday do it all sock. Those are the 2 that I use the most. And then they do have a mid-season, which that boot, personally, I wouldn't run that boot in like leather boots on a mountain hunt. That would be more like a rubber boot type sock for me, unless it was like really cold and I had them in pack boots or something like that. But the mid-season is fairly thick, and then the late season is really thick, and those things inside of some rubber boots would be pretty legit in a stand. But as far as like hiking goes, if you're a hiker, I think the all season and the early season are the 2 that I would stick with. And then they got a couple new hoodies out that people have really been anticipating. One is the Approach hoodie. You can think of it like a lightweight Origin, like an Origin Light. And it is to me, it's the piece that has been missing in the line since the Klamath has kind of rotated out. And it just dries a lot quicker than the Origin. It's more of a layering mountain piece to me, or like coming up turkey season, or if you're like stalking early season deer, that would be like a great outer piece. It's a hoodie, so it's got a hood and a built-in face mask. Right now they're only in the camo colors, so there's that. Yeah, but it's really like there's no pockets. One of the early iterations that we got had a low pocket, just trying to like incorporate pocket somewhere different. But my feedback, there was lots of feedback to him, but my small 2 cents was like, I think this is an awesome layering piece. It fits really good. It's more fitted, I would say, even over the Origin. It's not quite as boxy. And I was like, I think it's going to layer better with no pockets. And if you want pockets, like use your pants pockets or put a jacket on over the top of it or whatever. I just, for that minimalist, like, type, just the type of hoodie it is, my 2 cents was to get rid of the pockets. And they did. And I really like it. It's just like simple, fits really good, dries quickly. It's really comfortable to put on. And yeah, that's good. So that's the Approach hoodie. I think you can buy it right now. And then the next one that people have been asking me about for a long time is the Navigator hoodie and pants. You have seen me wear this hoodie like, I don't know, just like on Instagram or whatever, just with jeans around town or while we're hunting. It's kind of it's like an active fleece hoodie. So it's a little bit longer fleece, but it's more of like an active type fleece. You're just going to have to get on First Lite and like kind of read about it, but it's super comfortable, like a quarter zip hoodie. And it's just, I can't explain it. It's just one of those that's like going to be a staple. It seems to dry fairly quickly. The Approach will definitely dry faster. But the Approach is thinner, more of like a micro fleece. And then the Navigator is a little bit longer fleece. Gonna be, I mean, you could really use it kind of all season, depending how you want to layer it. But it's an excellent, I mean, I really like it. They also make the pants. I didn't wear the pants that much, but they are really comfortable, just like around the house. I think they'd be super comfortable. I mean, they're basically built for being underneath your bibs. So that's coming out of First Lite. There's more stuff that's going to be coming from First Lite. I'm going to try to keep everybody updated on, and I'm going to try to do more videos this summer. I mean, it's going to take a little while once we get through turkey season, kind of the bulk of when the busyness, I'll be able to focus a little bit more on videos and stuff. And I'm going to try to do more videos both on like my Instagram channel and then on YouTube as well. So I'll try to make a video for like kind of all this stuff too, and not just do it audio like. But okay, gonna go into some question and answers. Gotta get my phone going here. All right, so every once in a while on Instagram I just ask if anybody has any questions. Usually I answer them on Instagram and then I just pocket them for the podcast. So I'm gonna do a few of them here. Thank you for tuning into this episode. You can visit the website jordan-bud.com to watch the latest hunt films, check out the gear that we love, and even send in a question if you want. And you can follow me on social media at jordan.bud to keep up with all that we're doing in real time. Now back to the episode. Okay, this guy says he's moving to Nebraska in May. And he says, what should I know about hunting public land in Nebraska? The first thing I would say is get OnX. Like, download OnX. If you just do Nebraska, it's not very expensive, just for the one state. Make sure you have that for your public-private boundaries. I mean, Nebraska is mostly private, so I think you really want that. And then OnX obviously shows like a bunch of walk-in, which there's going to be not a ton of Nebraska walk-in, but there is walk-in, and I personally don't think a lot of that stuff gets hit that much. Get OnX. And then the other thing I would say too is I would really lean on archery season for like deer sake, because archery season opens September 1st in Nebraska and it runs all the way through the end of the year. And rifle season opens mid-November. So you still have like the first couple weeks of November to get in some pre-rut, maybe a little bit of rut action depending on how the weather hits. But you have, you're basically hunting those deer through 2 cycles of patterns, like, early season summer, and then they might move a little bit in October, and then they're going to start really moving around end of October into November. So definitely like less people archery hunt. You can hunt them longer, which I think is, time in the field and just persistence is going to pay. And I personally probably wouldn't hunt during rifle season. Unless you've got a deer that that you can get in on like on the first day. It's just like, it just gets hammered in Nebraska on public for rifle. So that's kind of what I would say. Okay, next question. Hey Jordan, just curious as to what floorless shelter you use. So we've talked about this a few times, so I won't hit on it too hard, but the Argali Absorka floorless is what we've been using. It has a square footprint, so it pitches really easy. You literally like stake out your 4 corners taut and then throw a pole in the middle and you're off and going. And there's just a ton of ways that you can set them up. So I can put a stove in it in the late season, a titanium stove also from Argali. Other people make little backpacking stoves as well, but I really like that setup. You can run like a full nest in it, which is basically a floor, like a little bathtub floor with bug netting going to the ceiling. How we run it most of the time is we run what they call a half nest. So half of the inside is going to be that bug netting plus your little bit of a bathtub floor. And then the other half is going to be open, just floorless. To us, then you can still go in with your boots on, like get out of the elements if it's raining or something like that. Then you can kick your boots off, leave that all outside. And the half nest fits 2 sleeping pads, 2 wide 25-inch sleeping pads side by side. So, if you don't mind sleeping right next to the other person, there's plenty of room with that system. So we do the main like teepee floorless shelter with half nest, and then in the late season I will pull that half nest out and maybe just run a floor. They make like a half floor as well, just as a ground barrier, like a ground cloth for your sleeping pad, and run the stove with that. So it's really versatile for what you get. It's not that expensive. And if I run that thing with a stove, I'm under 4 pounds still, like right about the 4 pound mark. All right. Next question. I bought the Sig Kilo Gen 2s after seeing your video. Do you have any tips? So thanks for buying those because of me. I really like them. I was actually just looking through them this morning. The Sig Kilo Gen 2, so that is the Sig Kilo 10K rangefinding binoculars, the second version of them. The first version of them, I've got a YouTube video kind of explaining this more, but the first version of them had a little bit of a blue tint because of the fancy matrix display that they have in it. The Gen 2s fix the blue tint, so they're more, they're a little bit better for hunting, in my opinion, because the animal colors pop like a little bit more naturally to your eye. So any tips on that? I would say with that, the rangefinder binoculars, like any rangefinder, especially like those big ones from Sig, I use the 8K definitely the most. It's just a monocular regular rangefinder. Any tips on it? I would go through the settings and make sure you know how to get to each thing, and you understand kind of what each of those things does. I would say definitely learn how to switch between your range modes. There's multiple different range modes, like, there's usually like best, but there's also a fog range mode. So if it's foggy, you can click over to that and it's going to optimize the laser to shoot through fog. So, just learn how to get to like that as an example and swap back and forth. And then what the other range modes mean. I don't want to go make this podcast really long, but I will do one going through all that stuff at some point. And then And then I'll do a video on it as well. I'll try and do that, and then go through your BDX app, which is the Sig Ballistic Data Exchange. It's an app that goes on your phone. Your phone then pairs to your rangefinder, and then that is how you set up like your ballistic profiles. So like you'll go into your BDX app, you'll add a gun, you'll get your muzzle velocity, you'll enter your bullet weight, muzzle velocity, your BC of your bullet, and then that will give you like, your basic data. You'll go to the range, verify that, make any changes that you need, and then you will send that to your rangefinder. And then when you get into your rangefinder in the field and you range a target, it's going to give you like what you need to dial to on your scope. And you can add multiple profiles into a set of binoculars, or just your rangefinder. And with the new fancy displays, it actually tells you like what the type of display it is. It's kind of like the display in your iPhone. So there's no longer naming rifles like gun 1, gun 2, gun 3, and then you have to remember, which bullet is gun 2, which configuration is gun 3, and getting messed up. You can actually name them whatever you want to name them. I'll name mine 6.5 Creedmoor 130 grain because I might be running a certain bullet through that. And then I have another one that's 6.5 Creedmoor 140 grain, which is the AccuBonds. So I can switch between those really easy and not get mixed up on which number of gun it is. But that's what I would say the most of. Go through the BDX app, go through your rangefinder, really familiarize yourself. You can make windage changes on the fly. There's a couple different ways you can do that. So I would definitely consult your manual, make yourself aware of all those things. Maybe some tips to start out with is I would go best rangefinding mode, and then that's probably where I would start. And then you're just gonna have to play with it and get the hang of it. So that's that. And then here's a question, kind of a personal one. What's the animal you've harvested that you're most proud of? So I've talked about my doll sheep a lot, and I think that kind of goes without saying. But another one that I'm really proud of is a buck that I shot. I think it was in 2017. I'm pretty sure, in Wyoming. It was Forest Service public land, high country buck. I had found him in July and watched him for a couple of weeks, I think, and then ended up not being able to find him again until mid-September. Some of that is I wasn't able to go until mid-September when the season opened, September 1st. That was back when I was deep in the filming days, and we were way far back on a bighorn sheep hunt. And I actually had a wedding I had to be in. I think it was on the 16th of September. And we had a so my plan was I needed to come out, on the 14th. I had to come out of the field on the 14th in order to get to rehearsals and all that stuff on the 15th, and then be in the wedding on the 16th. Well, there was a snowstorm moving in that was going to be in on the 13th. So I left early on the 12th, which gave me roughly a day to go try to hunt that deer. And of course, that's what I did. I got back to my house, I repacked, I drove in the middle of the night, got to where kind of the area where the deer was. I think I hunted that morning and wasn't finding them, and I decided to walk out on this finger and look down in some lower elevation. And there I see a buck glistening, and I throw my binoculars up, and I'm like, oh my God, that's a good buck. Well, at this point, I'd kind of just assumed that the deer that I had found early season, I wasn't going to be able to find him. And he was a really big deer. So I tried to stalk him before he got in some heavier cover. He beat me into the cover, I thought, but I kind of think we did a little circle around each other. The snowstorm that was supposed to come in, there was a squall coming in that I thought was the main snowstorm. So I hiked out, went back to my vehicle, dropped to some lower elevation where I had phone service to try to look at the radar. And the radar actually looked like all this stuff was going to move through. So it snowed for a little bit. The radar showed it was just about out. The sun started coming out. I drove back to the trailhead. I hiked in and got on this little glassing knob that was pretty close to the area where he had been, just hoping he would pop up. And literally, sure enough, he popped up and he was feeding, not really that far from me, like a couple 100 yards. He was feeding around. So I got my bow and tried to go around like this little hill thinking he was going to feed to me, and he never did. So I went back around the little hill and just started like kind of still hunting through. And I would just take a couple steps, look into these like a little set of like, high alpine trees. And I caught his antler moving, and the tree was in between me and him, but I could see one side. And so I stalked in right close to him. I got to 70 yards, and that was as close as I could get. I shot my bow a ton back then, like every single day, morning and evening, I would shoot my bow. I was really in tune with it. The deer didn't know I was there. He was bedded, but there was no way I could get closer without being like in super open terrain and he was going to be able to see me. So it was getting dark, and I could literally see a wall of white coming. That was the actual big snowstorm. And so I shot him 70 yards. He was bedded, went through both shoulder blades. It was a heart shot. He ran probably 60 yards and died. And so I got him out, and I went to the wedding, and I actually dropped him off at a processor that I just Googled on the way there, going through a town. I had caped him and stuff already, dropped him off at the processor, and while we were at the wedding, I had his cape just open in the back of my pickup with a tarp over it, and it was cold that weekend, so it was like perfect. And so now he's mounted on my wall, and we green scored him. Let's see. Yeah, we did. It was before he got mounted. So we green scored him at 188 and some change. So big buck, 5.5-inch bases, like good stuff. I've been looking for one like that ever since. So that's probably the one I'm most proud of. That was pretty cool. And I actually have a video of that on my YouTube channel. I think it's called If That's What It Takes. Okay, another a Sig Cross question. So what caliber is your Sig Cross? Do you have overall thoughts on the rifle? I'm debating on the rifle for my daughter. So in my opinion, the Sig Cross, especially in 6.5 Creedmoor, I had a 308 for a little while, and I just didn't shoot it that much, so I changed over to a 6.5 barrel, and so then now I just have a couple of 6.5 Creedmoors. It's just what I'm most comfortable with. They're awesome. In my opinion, the Sig Cross, the basic one, for $1,800 as a stock rifle right off the shelf is awesome. I shoot the Sig Sauer loads, boxed ammunition as well. I shoot the 6.5 Creedmoor. I think they call them the Elite Hunters. They are running 140 AccuBonds in them. They also have another version of the 130 Sierra. I think they're the Game Kings. Those two, I mean, I've gotten really good accuracy out of those two. I really like that AccuBond bullet. I tend to lean a little heavier on my bullets. So I really like that system. But, overall for $1,800 off the shelf, those things are really accurate. And then they're super versatile. Let alone the stock and stuff, you can change length of pull, you can change everything, so you can set it all up for her and it can move and grow with her. And then it's something she could be shooting it, and then you can make a couple adjustments and you can be shooting it really comfortably as well. So the other thing that is probably the biggest thing with the Sig Cross is the interchangeability of the barrels and calibers. So you can go to Proof Research. There are some other people who are selling barrels that are what they call pre-fit. So they're pre-head spaced. You literally take your handguard off. You do have to take the scope and the rail off of the originals. And then you take a AR style barrel nut wrench, you loosen that barrel nut, spin it off, and the barrel literally pulls right out. So you can go for like anything that is a short action. So let's talk just regular Sig Cross, the standard short action. Anything that is a short action that has the same, gosh dang, what do you call it? Like the same, I keep wanting to call it headspace, but the same, it'll use the same bolt, it has the same bolt face size. So like a 6.5 and a 308, I can literally change out the barrels and the bolt face size is the same. So I don't have to change out the bolt. The magazine, those Magpul mags are going to fit like both of those calibers. So that's a really good way too. You could get something like a 6 Creedmoor, and then like you can, move her all the way up to a 308 and only have to change out the barrel, like not changing out rifles at all. So I think that that's really cool. You can switch calibers easily. And yeah, then, beyond that, you can just put a bunch of stuff on them and do, they're just really versatile and you can really make it yours. The Running Water Podcast is brought to you by our trusted partners like Sig Sauer, optics and firearms that I rely on. First Lite technical clothing, keeping me comfortable from Nebraska to Idaho. And OnX Hunt, the mapping app I trust to keep all of my waypoints safe. Reveal cell cameras, trail camera photos from the field to my phone, and Ollin digiscoping cases. You can use code JBUD for 10% off and free shipping. Okay, sorry, I'm looking for the next one here. Okay, this guy, he says, I still want to know, is the Argali sleeping bag better than the Stone Glacier sleeping bag? This one's hard. Like, at this point with those two bags, like you're really looking at minimal differences. There is the one big difference though. They are both down bags. The Argali is not a treated down. The Stone Glacier is a treated down. On the Argali YouTube channel, Brad does a comparison between a treated down, which basically what they're doing is they're putting a really thin layer of waterproof coating over the down. So the down will repel water, because what happens is water gets on your down sleeping bag. It's going to compress the down, and then you're going to lose all your loft, which is all your warmth. So they're basically trying to combat that. Like they're trying to make it more water repellent. But in that video, Brad shows the treated down with the down. He submerges them in water. And he looks at, how much loft is left after they get soaked and then how fast each of them dries. And so even though they're both in the video, basically, they were both, saturated with water, but the one that was untreated repelled water actually just as well. And it regained its loft faster than the treated. So basically the whole thing with like the Argali sleeping bag is the untreated down. It is sourced where that down is sourced is really important. So Eastern Europe is where that is sourced. Those birds live in crazy like wet environments, and their down feathers just naturally repel water really good. So if you get a really good down, like sourced from the right spot, processed the right way, that down is already so naturally water resistant that you're actually hurting it by putting a waterproof coating on it. So you're you're kind of limiting that structure and what it can do. So with that being said, that's the biggest difference between Stone Glacier and Argali. I think that they're both going to be awesome bags. To me, the Argali feature wise pushes above the Stone Glacier because of like the pillow system. You can get that pillow that Brad makes. It literally hooks into the sleeping bag so it can't run away from you, which is big. And yeah, I mean, in the end, like you can't, they are going to be, these two sleeping bags I'm talking about, they're going to be really hard probably to tell apart warmth wise. I like the idea of the Argali down a little bit more and the pillow design. And I'm just a huge Argali fan in general. So I really like that sleeping bag. I used it last year. Haven't used the Stone Glacier. I think I've said that before. I haven't used that bag, but just looking, at the two things, like okay. Last thing I'll say about it. These two bags are going to be really warm. Like if you are moving from a mid-level bag or like a synthetic kind of mid-tier, like $300 bag, and you're moving up into these, high 500s, $600 bags, the difference is going to be astronomical in your brain the first time you sleep in it. It's going to be crazy. So, there is really no like, which is better, the Argali bag or the Stone Glacier bag? I think that's really hard to like say one over the other, especially like, yes, I haven't used the Stone Glacier bag. Just looking at the down and one being treated and one being not, and knowing where one of them is sourced and how that down reacts to water. To me, that like just what kind of pushes me towards Argali. But I mean, they're both going to be good bags. So that's all I'm going to say about that. And then, okay, couple, maybe just one more here. Okay, yeah, this is a good one. So what kind of firearm case do you use when traveling? So this is a little bit of a two-parter. If I'm traveling, like if I'm just driving and going on hunt, I'm probably just going to take a soft case. That's the FHF gear soft case. And if I'm flying somewhere, I will still put my gun in that FHF gear soft case, but the hard case that I use is a Pelican. I don't remember the numbers, but it's like they call it their double gun case. I got that truly not really knowing how big it was, and then it got to my house via Amazon, and I almost returned it, but they were going to charge me shipping, like $50 shipping to return it. So I was like, well, I'll just keep it. And it actually turned out the best because I can put my gun in that soft case inside the hard case. Plus, I can put my binoculars, I can put my tripod, and I can put my spotting scope. Plus, like ammunition and stuff, if your airline lets you put ammunition inside the same case. I cut out a little cutout for a bolt in the foam. So there's like multiple levels of foam that you can pull out and cut them to fit however you want. So I cut mine out to fit that soft case, and then so I can fit like everything, my optics and all that stuff inside the same case. And it is heavy. That's probably the only downside, is it gets really heavy really quick. But then that is all, like all my optics and stuff are going to be inside my gun case, which are probably not going to lose my gun. So that's nice too. All right, I'm going to tackle a couple more questions. I'll try to keep it brief. Favorite camera to run while filming a hunt. So this will go for filming any of my own hunts, including the ones that I film for Meat Eater. Plus, like if I do work for anybody else, this is probably what you've seen me run, or like a previous iteration of it. But all the Meat Eater hunts, like most of them, I'm filming myself or Leah's helping me out run the camera a little bit. But we're running the Sony A7S III. It's a mirrorless full frame camera. I've been bouncing around on lenses a little bit, but the 24, I got a 24 to 105 f4 from Sony. I really like that focal length combo for like self-filming and like archery hunting. I really like that. And then I did get a 1 to 400 millimeter Sony lens. That will be like the elk hunt that will come out with Meat Eater. I use that lens a lot to get elk footage. And so that's probably what I would say. Like that Sony A7S III. I also have an A7 IV that takes really awesome pictures as well. It films really great too, but takes good pictures. So kind of like those two cameras, those two combos of lenses. I also have a 16 to 35. That's a really wide angle. That's f2.8. That's an awesome lens as well. It's a little too wide. I try not to bounce in between lenses in the field all the time because it's just like more opportunity for dirt and stuff to get in, but I will swap back and forth sometimes depending on kind of what I'm trying to do. And then probably like in the backcountry, I'm not carrying the 1 to 400 because of weight, size, all the things. So I will, and I'll do this even with the 1 to 400. But one thing I think everybody should have is an Ollin case and an Ollin adapter, a digiscoping adapter for your spotting scope. I film with my iPhone through the spotting scope all the time. If you do it a lot and you are pulling your footage into Premiere Pro and you don't like the way that the footage looks, let me know, because a buddy of mine tipped me off to a settings change that you can make with those clips that will make the colors not look so aggressively over highlighted. And so that's awesome. Let me know if you want to know that little hack, or if you want me to show you how that little hack happens. And yeah, that's what I would say. And the Ollin too, if you use the code JBUD, you get a little bit of a discount plus free shipping. But gosh, we use those all the time for guiding and stuff. I mean, we're literally always filming through the spotting scope, showing people deer, and just keeping it for ourselves too. So that, let's see. Yeah, that pretty much rounds it out. We're almost 45 minutes. So, yeah, if anybody has any questions, let me know. If you go to jordan-bud.com, you can there's a place you can contact, send me a question, send me a video you want to see. If you want to hear us talk about something, let us know. But yeah, I think in the end, our spring has been, our winter / the first few months of the year has been crazy with the ranch life. And the podcast just isn't super high on the list of things to do, but I do try to keep a little note list running of things I want to talk about. So questions and stuff and some direction really helps if there's something you want to hear from us, and then I'll keep jotting stuff down. So hope everybody has a good spring. If you're turkey hunting, get after it. Don't overcall those things, and we'll talk to you on the next episode.